Hello, everyone. This is a new episode of The Salon. My name is Carla van Wassen, and I'm so happy to be here with my co-hosts, Sandy, Leah, and Rachel. So welcome, everybody. Today, the topic of our episode is about the self-hating Jew phenomenon or concept. And we have so many different angles and different information about that. So stay focused and stay tuned because you'll hear things you probably have never thought about before. So let's start. And I would like to say the following. If anti-Semitism had never existed, then the concept of self-hating Jews would never have occurred. If humans didn't have a need to belong, liked and appreciated, self-hating Jews would never exist. If inflicted trauma, as is caused by 2,000 years of persecution, by being slaughtered, by being burned alive, as happened with millions of Jews, mainly in Europe, then self-hating Jews, that phenomenon, the concept, would not exist. If Jews would not be the scapegoats of the world and for getting the blame no matter how good you do and how good you try to do, self-hating Jews would not exist. If over the centuries Jews would have had equal rights as well as equal opportunities, self-hating Jews wouldn't exist. Being Jewish means being part of a group, tribe, ethnicity, culture, and religion, although many Jews are not affiliated. The Torah and the Talmud are a way of life with laws and ethical lessons, and they impact the Jewish mind and soul on a large scale. Collective consciousness and the subconscious keep the data for generations. Ancestral experiences have an impact on every living person. Anti-Semitism is transferred through generations and keeps prejudice and discrimination alive. So we will go a little bit about the history now, and I would love to invite Rachel to start.
The concept of the self-hating Jew became widespread after a German Jewish philosopher by the name of Theodor Lessing, who had converted to Christianity and then actually returned to Judaism, had published a book in the 1930s called Der Jüdische Selbsthass, which was Jewish self-hatred. And it explained an inclination among Jewish intellectuals towards inciting anti-Semitism by stating their views about Judaism. And then another German Jewish psychologist by the name of Kurt Lewin wrote an essay in the 1940s about Jewish self-hatred and saying that it occurs when society marginalizes Jews, who then internalize the sense of marginalization.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I would like to add there that why did many Jews convert to Christianity or to Catholicism? That was the only way in the 1800s when they wanted to join the intelligentsia and the cultural development in Germany and Austria mainly, to have a passport to the world of, I wouldn't say civilization, but of culture. They were not allowed for centuries to do anything else than doing banking and little professions, but they could not go to college, they couldn't study. So converting into a Christian was the passport to freedom. And that was with Mendelssohn, the composer. That was for many people the case. And this poor Lessing, he did that too, and he regretted it later, and he turned back. And what happened to him?
He was actually murdered by the Nazis.
Yeah, they don't care about your religious belief; they care about your bloodline, right? The bloodline that you came from, blood union. Yeah. Terrible times.
I just want to say, I think it's really interesting that there's different motives, I think, from what I understand about self-hating Jews. You're saying one of them is to gain access to domains that you wouldn't necessarily be allowed to join. But I also think a lot of it, I think nowadays it could be fear. Could be. I think it's just fear. I mean, that's one of the motivations. And so you just want to identify with the aggressor or the majority narrative. So that there could be multiple reasons for being self-hating too, I think.
Of course, I said in the beginning that if there was no anti-Semitism, there were no self-hating Jews. Because that's the whole thing. It is, you all want to be liked and loved. You want to be, that's one thing too. You want to be accepted. You want to have a good life. And you don't want to feel all the time, people don't like me and people don't like us. And that's what you refer to, Leah, what you see today so much, also in the anti-Israel mentality of so many people that don't know anything about Israel, have never been there, but still have ridiculous ideas about it. Sandy.
So Rabbi Walpe just spoke in our show last 2 days ago about this exact topic. A lot of the young people, in fact, you're actually spot on, Carla, they don't know a lot about Israel. So the real question is then why are they joining Hamas? Like, why are they advocating for murder? And the answer is that need to belong. It's so powerful. This is a generation that's been totally coddled by their parents. They come to college and they don't have their parents there, and it's scary for them. So there's a crowd there marching, and what would feel better except to just walk in and be part of it, regardless of what it means? It's actually if anything, a silver lining that they might not be so anti-Semitic as desperate to belong to a group.
You mean
the problem is
the protest, the young people that protest and are so in favor of Palestinians and Hamas, but
yes,
you mean also the Jewish young generation that is infected in the same way. You mean those two? He spoke about that, Rabbi Walpe, I think
it's just the need to belong and not wanting to be different. It is very painful today. It's harder than ever to feel different and alone, and especially a generation that's been so watched over since with all the internet and everything. So now they're alone for the first time in college. It's a big deal.
So they're alone for the first time from their families, but they've been alone because of COVID. They've been alone by themselves anyway. And then there's a lot of, you think that the internet doesn't bring people together. Which, okay, YouTube has a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things. It's not all bad. However, for I think a lot of young kids that don't know who they are or whatever can get into a lot of places on the internet. They probably not healthy for them. And I think that the need to be accepted and to belong to a majority or to belong to a group that is generally accepted, you can just sort of sneak in and be with that group, is a big motivating cause for a lot of the young people to join into these protests and join into, it's we mentioned it before in other groups about, like gays for Gaza. And it's like, seriously, people? But it's like, the protesters will accept them because they want more people there. So they do feel accepted, even if in reality they would not be accepted.
Yeah. So why there are so many self-hating Jews that feel uncomfortable with being Jewish, that it's just a difficult feeling for them. They want to hide it. I remember when we came to America, actually also escaping, and that my kids were not very afraid to be Jewish. So that's why we left from the Netherlands. And I have here a friend, and she says, she has 2 Jewish parents, and she says, Carla, I never like it when people identify me as Jewish because I don't like to be Jewish. And I said, why not? Why is there no positive? There are a lot of positive aspects to it too. And then she said, because who wants to be part of a people that is always persecuted and hated and spit upon, and get so much negativity to endure? That's why I don't want to be Jewish. And she didn't like what many people do that I met, is they say, I'm spiritual. Yeah, I'm born Jewish, but I am not religious. Like, I don't do that. Or there is so much shame and blame and negativity around it. Why is that, guys?
People are threatened by when someone doesn't want to belong to their group. So when Jews had their own concept of Jesus as not being a God, then that would mean that by definition that the Christians were wrong. So that would be very hard for the Christians to tolerate differences, right? Also with other religions as well. So it stands in contrast to other religions. So maybe because it's threatening the other religions, that then they'll just say, oh, always focus on the Jews. And we're such a small minority that we feel pounced upon.
But it is now Easter today, right? And a few days ago it was Good Friday. And I remember from stories of my rabbi that in the eastern part of Europe, they closed the ghettos so badly because with Good Friday was the day that they wanted to kill Jews. Why? Because Jews murdered Jesus. Why is there not, where wasn't there a general respect for other beliefs, other religions? I mean, that's probably the problem. Part of the problem that is not, we are not being respected most of the time. We are looked down upon, and they wanted us to convert, which happened often. You would be murdered, or you needed to convert. And I think in our collective consciousness, where our history is part of, right, for all those generations too, that's part of our feeling. We are sensitive for not belonging, that they have make remarks about us. I see it with many of my clients, today, because anti-Semitism today is so rampant again, that people feel very uncomfortable and afraid. I mean, don't use their last names when they publicly appear. They take off the mezuzahs off the doors. I mean, it is the fear. We know what it means, and then we are fearful. Or we are much more strong, and we say, okay, we don't want fear to get us. But why is it then? Why? So we are born Jewish. We are born Jewish. So what do you do with that? Why is that self-hating Jew phenomenon so strong? Maybe one of you can give an example.
I don't know why it's so strong. I think it's, generations, and I think that it's in some respects gets passed down, but not just how we feel about ourselves, but the lies get passed down too.
Yes.
Such as Jews actually didn't kill Jesus.
Yeah.
And they know it was the Greeks, but still, if you ask a lot of people out there, still believe that it was Jews that killed Jesus. But so it's lies, and then all the propaganda that came out, between World War I and, well, even probably before that, it's been around for a long, long time. The Spanish Inquisition, we can go on and name, go back in history time and time again that it happens. I don't know why. I think that, I look at our liturgy, and I know that it does say, the parts in the Torah that say, well, they'll get their comeuppance, or they'll get punished, or whatever. But it's really a very much a peaceful type thing, and so I think sometimes people think that we're easy to bully. I mean, and I think that it's just sort of passed down from generations, and turn the other cheek. Stay together.
Yeah. You said the word bully here. And if you have been bullied as a kid, we know now that has lifelong effects. And if you have been bullied generations, there's a lot of.
So to me, it's about power. Yes. To me, it's about power. If you've been bullied, you want power. You're going to maybe overcompensate, like someone like Soros, or any of the people you have in our administration, if I can mention. I mean, we have Schumer, who last week was fomenting, by talking about Netanyahu and the way he did. I mean, he's fomenting anger to students and the community. I mean, the problem is the result of these self-hating Jews in power really put everyone, increase and foment more anti-Semitism. And we see it with Blinken, who was just went to Israel to tie their hands there, and then Mayorkas bringing in more anti-Semites into the country, knowing that it's going to be worse. So it's almost like they're trying to prove they fit in so much, but it's at everybody else's expense. Yeah. So it's a cyclical problem.
The scapegoat too, and the fact what surprises me so much, and that is typically an element of today's self-hating Jew behavior. Who are you to criticize another country? Who are you to say you need to do it like that? Who are you to attack somebody because, like, they are attacking our worldwide Jews, and that is really published as a good thing to do. So who are you as an American Jew to, I know American Jews that have like, they feel okay to be Jewish, they have no problem, but they support BDS and they've never been in Israel. Then how dare you to support BDS? Because why do you want
I think it's, those Jews are just so damn ignorant. But to what Sandy was saying about being bullied, I think in a way, Jews have been definitely easy to bully because Jews have been pacifists for the most part. During the Second World War, for instance, you know, the European Jews did not have guns. If they had guns, they would have not, there wouldn't have been 6 million Jews that would have gone to the gas chambers. That's one thing. Israel is one situation where the Jews have not been bullied, although this administration now has tried to bully Israel in terms of the ceasefire and saying, don't do this and don't do that. And so Netanyahu is saying, no, sorry, we're going to do what we need to do. So the Jews in Israel are not allowing themselves to be bullied. So it's a different kind of Jew. It's not the shtetl Jew.
Yeah.
It's a different Jew today. It's the Jew that is saying never again and means it.
Never, ever.
And
but in Israel, there are the same forces too. I mean, the house of Netanyahu is threatened to do things. People get crazy, and that's also the fear. And I mean, they go through tremendous fear at this moment because they're not protected well, and they lose their rights, and they live in so much fear. That's very hard to do that. And then you get people have always all kind of opinions, right? And yeah, so that is very sad.
I think it's tragic. There's unnecessarily loss of life happening right now from this. I just wanted to state that I believe it's a lack of identity as Jews that causes Jews not to care. And once you stop caring, you're capable of doing and saying anything and then putting other Jews in harm. It's usually on the one side of the political and religious spectrum that these self-hating Jews are coming from. It's not from, let's say, Joe Lieberman, who just recently passed. He was a senior senator from Connecticut, many years, a proud Jew, and he was only helpful to Israel. So I just wanted to point out it's people on one side of the spectrum. If you have an identity and you have knowledge of your past and you're brought up with sort of self-esteem about being a Jew, you generally don't go into that self-hating stuff, even if it's hard.
But that is also a result of the persecution for all those years, because like I said, we all want to be liked and loved and belong. And then where do you belong to? And the dual loyalty, that is, you're attacked on that too. How many Jews are afraid to come forward as a Jew? And I read once a book, The Winking, the Gray Winking, whatever, and it was about the New York Times. And during the Second World War, there was a Jewish publisher. He was the main publisher. And he, I think only one time in 1944, on page 7 of one edition, he published about, or he allowed to publish about what was going on in Europe. And while many, many Jews read the New York Times, they were not so informed about what was happening in Europe. That's typically a response of a self-hating Jew, that he is afraid that people will say, oh, you choose for your own people. You're not American enough. You're more Jewish. That goes so far in withholding facts that are very important for people to know. And there are so many examples like this. And I think too, that if you don't have a very positive example, and for some people, religion, a lot of Jews take distance from the religion because it's not clinical science. And religion and science don't go together. They bite each other. Maybe religion doesn't bite science. Maybe sometimes science certainly bites religion. So if you cannot prove there is a God, or then the rest is also falling apart. Where there's so much intelligence in the whole and knowledge and the books that are there. So that is something like, no, I'm anti-religion. When I was 20 years in the Netherlands, I bought my first Siddur and a prayer book, and I was happy that I did that. And my friends looked at it and started to laugh. What is that? Do you believe that? What a nonsense. It's like not done. I mean, it's the same thing that so many Jews like that, they were communists, and then the Jews get the blame for being the communists, and the Jews get the blame for being socialists, and the Jews get also the blame for being capitalists. So it's like you never do it good. So better feel good with what you do. But because
Yes.
I said that before, I think Sandy, about you want to belong to a group, because we all do. We first belong to a family, and from there we grow bigger, and we belong to a country. You say motherland and fatherland. It's a belonging part. So we have all kinds of subgroups we belong to. But if your subgroup or tribe is so despised, or the other way around, like, oh, your Jews are doing so great. There's so many, so many doctors, so many lawyers, there's always something. You do your best, you do good, you give a lot of charity, you pay a lot of money for the colleges, and they become anti-Semitic there. So, it's just like an ongoing drama.
I was thinking about the self-hating Jew and atheism, and I'm assuming that the self-hating Jew is an atheist, although not all Jews who are atheists are self-hating Jews.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of George Soros, who I think of as the king of self-hating Jews. And I watched a video of him that was done probably in the 60s. And you can still watch it on YouTube. And I'd seen it many years ago, and I looked at it again, and it was very interesting. They actually edited a piece of that video. And the video says, George Soros, no remorse. And they edited the video, because I distinctly recall that when they interviewed him, they talked to him about what happened to him during the Holocaust. He was a Hungarian Jew. His parents changed their name from Schwartz to Soros because they didn't want to appear to be Jewish. And when he was 14, he went with Nazis to Jewish homes where they looted the homes and took them to concentration camps. And the interviewer said to him, well, that would be enough to send most people to the psychiatrist's couch. And he said, not at all. And he has a smile on his face. And he said, in fact, it made him the person he is today. Yeah. And he said he had no remorse. And he was very comfortable about it. Now, most people would say, well, I was a child, but I had no choice in the matter. He was very comfortable about what he did at that age. And he was asked, do you believe in God? And he said, no. And so I'm curious as to what you all think about whether or not all self-hating Jews are atheists.
No, but not only that, sorry, but what you said about Soros, if you have done such a horrible thing, that it can be so hard to live with that you cannot live anymore. And you can also totally cognitive dissonance, right? You change the story.
Right.
Because you didn't have a choice, and it saved the life of your parents. God knows what reasons he had. And that is the terrible effect of pushing a kid in such a situation. I wish that he would have shut up after that and live a nice life and do good, but maybe in this extremely extravagant way of his living and how he gained a capital and how he uses and spends it, it's altogether weird. I think a few psychiatrists could do some good work there, but That's not going to happen, but he's not the only one. We have a few more.
Well, I know, and he just also recently pledged $1 million to a pro-Hamas group in Gaza.
Yeah.
He's very anti-Israel.
But that's probably saving him sanity for looking into the past, what he is guilty of. You know, I would not.
And the interesting thing about him is there are Jewish groups that are very left-wing that see him as a man who is very philanthropic and does good deeds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's the Oslo syndrome, isn't it? I mean, it's identifying with the oppressor.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Patty Hearst did it. I mean, Stockholm syndrome, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah,
I think there's something to this, Carla, where there's so much pain that in order to stay, to not be fractured, you have to almost take on the larger identity. And results be damned. You know, how many people are going to be killed? You know, Soros, you talk about him, but how many leftist DAs has he appointed in this country alone?
Well, he's destroyed all the blue cities.
How about the Open Society Foundation? He's funding and the universities, free universities, that sow the seeds of chaos in democracies around the world. I mean, it's huge. His son, by the way, is no better. Cannot actually complete a sentence normally and is loaded with money.
Yeah. Well, his son is dating Huma Abedin.
Yeah, Huma Abedin, right. There's also Gabor Mate. I'm sure Carla.
Yeah, Gabor Mate.
Gabor Mate.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Wait! You know, but you're not done with Soros, because what I think, because of what you guys said, his parents fled with him for communism. They didn't come right after the Shoah. They came later to flee from communism, and I mean, that is something. I mean, he's kind of spreading communism here. And why wouldn't he stay there if it's so great, you know? And he gained so much money himself. How can you say, okay, I have the right to make so much money, but others are not? That's another hypocrisy here.
I think he doesn't believe in God because he's playing God.
Yeah. You're right there with that. Yeah. I find that such a shame because, and this is a form of self-hating Jew that I really despise.
Yeah.
Because he's an intelligent man. And why does he need to open all the time his mouth about Israel? And he's interviewed in so many anti-Semitic channels, if I have seen him say together with his friend Norman Finkelstein. And why do you, if you don't like what Israel's doing, but you know, you're not living there, you're here, you're safe, you don't live their thing, you have nothing to say about it. Why do you want to be every day on television and in social media to spread hate and to put Israel in, why to feed those many people? And I have responded several times on his interviews, right, on YouTube, and you have no clue. I come just with a fact, and I said just something about this, and I say something about that, and they go to me, they fight me. I get crap from the people that follow him, put him on a pedestal. Oh, Mr. Mate, you are so above us, your noble heart, your sincerity, you're the only Jew that gets it, and on and on and on. And if I comment, next day comments deleted, because he has a whole arsenal with groupies that take care of his accounts, and then his sons do the same thing. It's like, why do you need your brothers and sisters that are in dire strait, that are going through hell at this moment, right?
Because they don't feel it. They don't feel it.
Shut it up. That is so terrible to me.
We live in a country here where we have two borders with water, Mexico and Canada. We're like the most technically safe country. I mean, but a lot of people can't conceive of what it's like when rockets are firing, raining down on your head on an average day. We don't feel it. And I think Gabor Mate is so emblematic of that. You know, he speaks from his home, wherever it is, probably, California?
Vancouver,
I don't know.
I think.
Vancouver, Canada. Again, they don't feel it. And I think that's a huge piece of it. This speaking from a very safe place. Let him go for a week and just see what it's like. He would never do that.
There is the respect. Whereas also, I mean,
yeah,
originally Dutch. Do you think I'm going to publish all kinds of things that I don't like Now, nobody's interested in that to begin with. But why would you do that? Why would you attack people that already are
power? Look how much attention he's getting.
ego, and then
That's what I was going to say. It's attention.
Attention, power, ego. Yeah.
A Holocaust survivor, because that
Yeah.
credibility, you're a baby of 4 months old. It's still terrible. You feel the tension and the stress and all that energy. But why to put it in same like Finkelstein? Those people do so much harm. It's unbelievable. And those are actually the true self-haters of today. So that brings us maybe to our anti-Semites of the week. So who starts? Sandy, your anti-Semite of the week.
My anti-Semite is not actually a person. It was from a YouTube I was watching the other day, and I was not any place I could take real good notes. However, it was about the University of Sydney in Australia, where they had invited some professors from the University of Tel Aviv, I'm pretty sure, down to not a conference, but when students go to see whether they want to take a year in this country or a year in that country. So they had this whole big thing set up. So with a whole bunch of different people from all different countries, they invited some Israelis as well. And the Palestinian group that was on the campus was allowed to come in, and they were screaming and they were whatever. It got so bad that they locked the doors, and they locked everybody, not just these two women. They were both women, decided they weren't going to leave. They were invited there. They had every right to be there. They were just going to stay. But then the guards stood at the door so that they didn't let people in, but they also didn't let anybody out. They literally locked them there for about an hour and a half until they finally said, okay, fine. You know what? Nothing's going to get done. Never mind for us, but nothing's going to get done if we stay here. And they left. And then all of a sudden there was like cheering, and they left in fear, and they were so proud of themselves. But my anti-Semite part of this is that where was the administration who says, an hour and a half, the president of the university knows this is going on. The vice president knows, all the way down to the head of security knows this is going on. Why did they not just ask them to leave in the beginning? You can say have free speech. Okay, fine. This is a meeting. We have set this up. You want to speak. You can stay 20 feet away from the door and say what you want to say. But you cannot go in and intimidate people like that. And they didn't. So it's not a single person. It is a school and its administrations.
So my anti-Semite of the week is the British Foreign Minister, David Cameron. So as of last November, he said, quote, that settler violence was completely unacceptable. But this week he decided to advocate for an arms embargo to Israel. So that to me is gross. These people are fighting for their lives in Israel, and he has the nerve to threaten their lives. It's just evil. That's my anti-Semite of the week. David Cameron.
That's okay. Michelle.
My anti-Semite is Candace Owens. She was a big disappointment. Started off, it became very obvious to me when Kanye West started talking like a total lunatic about Jews in the most vile anti-Semitic way. And she was his buddy, and she did not speak out against him. And she had plenty of opportunities to do so. And then more recently, she talked about Israel committing genocide in Gaza. So she's my anti-Semite.
Quite disappointing.
Well, I have one. I could choose from so many, like you guys. It's actually Norman Finkelstein. There are certain things that I found so disgusting with him. His own father, who was indeed a Holocaust survivor and survived concentration camps, was very upset with the books he wrote. And sometimes I think when I hear him speak, I cannot listen long to him. But the way he speaks, with a smirk often on his face, it's almost like his voice doesn't want to pronounce what he wants to say. It's almost like his voice is holding back. He does not speak with a clear voice. It sounds very like it has to be, it's forced like that. So like his body is against what he wants to say, right? And he does so much damage too. And his ego is there. And so many people find him fantastic. And it's just totally sad that you do that, because if you really want to do good to the Jews or to Israel, or you want to help a problem, go there, you know? And then some people do that, but you don't hear them. But this is one that just destroys so much and makes it very difficult for us.
I just wanted to add another self-hating Jew is Sally Kornbluth from MIT, who turned a blind eye to the anti-Semitism of her campus. I believe it was for just total power grab. That's my thinking.
That is so disgusting, because the other two ladies, they resigned at least, but she stays at her post, maybe because she's Jewish and you think I can do that. No, she was as weak as the others. Yeah, that is disgusting.
Selfish. It's selfishness.
Yeah.
She keeps the power at the expense of the Jewish students who now don't feel as safe.
And what is so funny, you bring this up, the perpetuum mobile, like the self-hating Jews, they are judgmental and the criticism and to others. And we do that actually in a way with them. If you start to be judgmental and nasty, like Soros or Mate and others, and then it's hard to be compassionate and nice about them because they created negativity and we respond to that. So it goes on and on and on. I'm sure there might be people mad at what we say, right? There is always, it is starting as so much misery in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, if you start, I had another one too. And then it's like, who can you choose from? That's something that bothers the heck out of me too. Her name is Brianna Joy. I don't know her last name, or I don't know her last name. Now she's a journalist. She works for Democracy Now, among others. She only invites anti-Semites and anti-Israel people. And the whole thing, what is so tragic, is the need for Israel to exist is so clear because of anti-Semitism. We could have gone to Madagascar. We could have gone to Honolulu, whatever. Then we have nothing to do there. We are indigenous, connected to the land there. There's so much freaking land. And then the little piece for Jews is too much, and we still have to fight about it for all those years. That is the problem. And the Holocaust has shown how important it is. There is a Jewish land, and that adds to the dignity of Jews too. That's also psychologically proven. If you have a land that you belong to, you're not done that you can go there to rescue. But that has really lifted up the psychological concept of self-esteem and feeling you have that place among the peoples, and that you're not a homeless person, because the homeless state made many Jews also insecure and a bit underdog. And, there is a lot in psychiatry or in psychology reports when I read that is compared with the problem of the Black people and the Jews, the same problem, feeling the underdog, not having a place, not being recognized, acknowledged. And, and it's so good to not be a victim, because I think we all have to get out of that victim, whatever it is. You need to integrate that and make it your strength and become strong. And we are challenged for that. But thank you so much.
The challenge is that the Jews that are in control, let's say in power in the government, they do belong. They belong so much, and that's the damage, because from the inside they're saying things against Israel. So we used to be on the outside. We're more accepted now, but that's why the self-hating, I think it's just a power goal.
And arrogance too. I'm better than you. Look how good I am. Mate, Finkelstein, and so many others.
Mayorkas, Blinken.
Yeah. And sure.
Yeah. It means to raise. Maybe it makes them raise their status in their own minds.
Yeah.
So it gives them a sense of superiority.
That's why I say it's power.
Yeah.
It's not fear
and
for
acceptance. And acceptance.
Yeah.
Don't forget it. It's a lot of it is about acceptance of others. And Jews are a minority, and they want to be accepted broadly by a lot of people, by the majority. And so it's very accepted to behave that way right now, or so they think.
Well, it is. I mean, I cannot read the comments that are made because there are so many people. You have no idea. Look at our first video. We got so many views from the haters. How we even dare to say that we are indigenous to the country. We are crazy. So you said it in the beginning, Sandy, but the lack of knowledge, the lack of historical insight is so terrible, is so incredible, but we still have an opinion and we go against it. And we say Zionism is racism. United Nations is also a big joke and has done so much damage. So much damage.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Something to add? No? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, our big friend. We have to have him here.
So cute.
Hey, Luka. Luka, where's your kippah? So now it's time for something nicer. Sandy, your hero.
Oh, well, my hero is Elon Levy. And speaking of David Cameron, he has been let go of his. He was an official spokesman for Israel. He's British, and he was let go because of a response that he put on, I think it was X, to David Cameron. So it's a tie-in to David. But the original post was that we needed to make a gateway, to get more things into Gaza, more aid, more whatever. And Elon Levy said that there are lots of ways and lots of stuff is getting into Gaza itself. It may not be getting to where it needs, but that's not, so whatever it was, but he's my hero. Elon Levy's my hero,
Okay, Leah, please.
So my heroes are Sergeant First Class Sivan. I think Sivan Whale, who's 20 from Renana, and Sergeant Major Alan Kundria Shore, 21 from Modim. They both fought in the Special Agos unit and Special Unit in Israel and gave their lives. They're definitely my heroes of the week.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, RPG. Yeah. So young. Hard. Definitely our heroes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Rochelle.
My heroes are the Christian Zionist Cowboys who came on their own dime. I think it's important to recognize the non-Jewish volunteers who came to Israel after October 7th. I think they're terrific guys for Cowboys who came to Israel to volunteer.
That's so much love and kindness. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to add this week, sorry, one thing. There were 2 doctors, I think they were cardiologists, who went to Israel on their own dime to help operate with the IDF soldiers to save lives from the US. That was this week too.
I also would like then to add my friend Debbie Batesh, who is an acupuncturist doctor, and she's doing a trip in. She's helping with acupuncture people to feel better, and she's going in hospital as a volunteer for a while. So that's but I have a different hero. I have more heroes, thank God. So this is the hero of, his name is Hagai Luber, and I will read what he has posted in the Jewish press. And he said it on television. And that is very beautiful. Nobody will burn down my country. We are tired of the threats of the extremists. Yes, even if these extremists have relatives in Gaza, you will not burn down the country. That's out of the question. And I have to fight you. If I have to fight you, I fight. Millions of people look at you in disbelief, disapproval, shock, and only because they respect you, they keep silent. I will not be silent. My son was killed in Gaza. He went to protect and free your children and was killed. Left everything, left behind a pregnant wife and a 9-month-old child, and was killed. He won't come back again, under no agreement. And so I am allowed to tell you, you must not break up the country. You must not go wild. You are not allowed to block roads. You must not confront the police. You must not call to refuse to serve. You are not allowed to shake patrol cars, throw cars. You must not try to break into the Prime Minister's home. The fact that your children are captives in Gaza, it hurts, it's unfortunate, it cuts us all from the inside. It will make me send again the 3 sons I have left to fight and to risk their lives for them. But this does not give you any prerogative. You have no right to take off the gloves. You have no right to curse elected officials. You have no right to scream shame. You have no right to violate public order. You have no right to block Ben Gurion International. You have no right to declare a strike on the economy. You have no such right. Restrain yourself. Do you hear? Restrain yourselves. Express your opinion, but don't shout. Say we must have an agreement now, but don't block roads. Say that every last terrorist must be released in exchange for all the hostages, but don't call for a rebellion. Say that the Knesset is not allowed to go on recess, but don't threaten. Say that Bibi must be replaced, but don't set fires. Say that election must be held now, but don't you dare attack the Knesset. Say that everyone failed, but don't even think about the possibility of a coup. Stop threatening this nation. This is your opinion. We heard you. Don't impose it. Want to hear my opinion too? In my opinion, Jonathan was killed because of the Oslo Accords, which some of you supported. In my opinion, Jonathan was killed because of the expulsion from Gush Katif in Gaza, which some of you encouraged, with support signs at the entrances to kibbutzim. Yet, I don't scream at you on the streets. I'm not blocking your path. I don't refuse military commands. I don't smuggle my money abroad. I do not curse your elected officials who are still supporting all these disasters. I sent and will send my sons to fight. I will support and obey the government, even if its opinion differs from mine. I don't think I have the right to destroy this beloved country.
What was his name again?
Hagai Luber. And that is typically what we spoke about today. The people that get so crazy, know it better, are just mad and endanger their own people. It has a self-hating element in it and a self-righteous element. I know better than you. Yeah. You look very frowned, Sandy.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I just listening to that. I thought that was a very interesting letter that he wrote.
Yeah. Well, at least it shines a light on the power and the strength and to fight and not to go under. But there's, of course,
and it does address exactly what we've been talking about today.
Yeah. So we end this with being optimistic, because we need to stay optimistic, to not be in fear, and to address in respectful ways what we don't agree with. That's actually it, right? So thank you all for attending, and see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.